Hi, Guruji. Again, so lovely to be here. It's all His grace, entirely His grace. And as we all know, we're aware, some people have shared so beautifully, but He is truly beyond the reach of our words and thoughts, His experience. And each one of us has our own experiences, and that is your truth. So all your truth. Like Guruji said, जो देखना उसे देखो मेरे form ना नहीं attach है मैं form भी हूँ formless भी. So he is what we understand him to be. So whatever you understand, he is your truth. So own that truth. And when we stand up and we share, we do not try and explain who Guruji is, or even try and comprehend in our small minds. We only share the grace, I would say, infinite grace that He showered upon each one of us. So in my case, I will start from the beginning. I was born and bred in England with a hole in the heart, asthma, and a skin condition. So first 10 years of my life I spent in hospital, more in and out, and I was on hydrocortisone. Part 2, teenagers were slow. Part 2, I got married in 1988 and went to India. Now I was in Delhi, and every changing season, as asthmatics are aware, my asthma used to trigger, I would be in ICU. Now the worst attack of my life was in 97 December. And I recall that day very clearly. I didn't know I was sitting with Sangat. I did not know that these friends of mine were already connected to Guruji. But they said, let's go and watch Titanic. It was December 97. I went. There were 3 of us. And my asthma triggered. Every changing season, of course, I was hospitalized, but that was the worst attack. And while I was watching, my life's ship was also sinking, truly, where my health, my marriage, everything was collapsing. And this Sangat, who were my friends, said, let us take you to hospital because you can't breathe. So I was hospitalized, and I recall the doctors, Dr. Ashwini and Anok Chopra, both of them on either side of me in a Shlok hospital, were administering the steroid injections. And they were exchanging glances as if to say, this is a very dismal situation. Now we cannot save them. But like Guruji said, he's always been with us in every form, in every incarnation, every situation. So I survived that attack, and a few months later, this friend's sister, she said, Guruji ke paas jab Guruji aaya Punjab se. And I forgot to tell you that the pattern I developed besides going into hospital every changing season was that I would consult many gurus, babas, pundits, astrologers, tarot card readers, all in vain, of course. So this was a pattern I have cultivated. And I was looking for answers of my suffering, which we do. Why are the blockages? Why is the needle not moving in my life? So by the time the Sangat came to me and she said, Guruji, chal mere saath. I said, no, I'm done and dusted, thank you. I don't believe in this. So she said, look, I insist. And she did insist. I resisted. She insisted. Finally, the day she persisted, she arrived at my home Thursday evening, 6 p.m. And she pulled me out of my home and she said, I'm taking you. It was a calling, of course, because nobody forces you to go to their guru, especially back then in 98, when people were not receptive. And like in Guruji's words, Guru the Nami Kharaab hai, because gurus were notorious. So she pulled me out of my home, and in the car, she was sharing a satsang, which again was foreign to my mind and it was falling on deaf ears. I don't remember a word because I was disinterested. I was there only to oblige her. Okay, fine, she's forcing you to go, compelling me, so I will just go and oblige her. So now, as a child, being the only colored girl in a white school in Manchester, and with a hole in the heart and asthma, I could not participate in sports activities, and many of the activities which white girls would, actively participate in. So I always felt that where do I belong? There was no sense of belonging. And of course, back then in the 70s and 80s, racism was very, very prominent. And, I would get strange questions asked. where you have snake charmers, you live in mud houses in India. And as a young, impressionable age, that really impacts you, that you are not born somehow and you don't belong. And where do you belong? Though I was born there, but there was no sense of belonging. And then I came to India and I had this British accent. And again, I did not belong in Delhi. And Delhi, I inherited the pastry, not that I was that, but I inherited them because I got married to somebody who's part of that, an integral part of that. So again, I was always lost. I don't belong here because the language was life is a party. And I knew there had to be more because I knew as a child, reading books and Buddha, that I'm here to make a difference. And I don't know what that is, what my sense of purpose is. I don't know who I am. And I think each one of us asks, who am I? Why am I born? What is my purpose? What is my path? And I had no answers to these very pivotal questions that each soul asks while we're here. So I went with a closed mind, closed heart. This Sangha said, go with an open mind, open heart. Of course, I did the opposite. Guruji was sitting in his gaddi as we walked into Chota Mandir, as we know it today. He was sitting on his gaddi, trainer's t-shirt, and shorts. Very unlike the Guru, very cool and resplendent. His aura was larger than life. You know, he was glowing, of course, like the moon and the stars combined. And I just walked in. I was barely 32, very vulnerable, very fragile because I was very sick. And as I bowed, and now she said, maybe, you're just one of my friends who I've taken and have never gone back. But the minute I bowed to Guruji, I just felt, I hope I'm not that. Because I felt a sense of peace, a joy, a sense of belonging like never before. And I felt this is it. This is home. I hope he asked me to come back. The next moment he said, Kal aa jaye, roz aana hai, roz langar karna. So I was thrilled to hear that. Now, as a child, I used to walk in my father's garden. And because I was suffering to a great degree, physically, and I was an oddball, I would just gaze up at the skies, the English clear skies, and I would say, God, are you there? And if you are, one day I would love to meet you and have tea with you. That was my head, the dialogue in my head. So when Guruji looks at me, he said, Chai pe shah pingi. So I felt a sense of familiarity, a sense of belonging. I smiled, I said, Hanji Guruji, chal aaj chai pe shah pilavanga, kal to langar karana, aur roz aana. So the first meher, this is how much the significance rather of our langar. And it has to be really embraced with a lot of sanctity, a lot of value, because it can be life transforming. So the first life altering or life defining moment for me in the realm of faith was when I was sitting with him, my asthma triggered and I was turning black and blue. And I was literally gasping for breath, and the langar, as we remember it, the vat, was laid out. Langar was served. It came in front of me, and I just looked at it and I said, Guruji, mujhe steroid injection chahiye, mujhe saans nahi aa raha. He said, are you tere steroid injections hai? I said, Guruji, aloo gobi dal hai, and I stopped growing. I said, Guruji, mujhe jana hai. I was getting very frustrated and angry. I said, Guruji, mujhe saans nahi aa raha. He said, aaj agar kalyan karna hai, to tu pura langar kar. And I said, but Guruji, main aloo gobi dal kha ke kaise theek hongi? He said, kya na tere steroid injections hai? Bahar jagah jyoti utar di, apne instant birth chhad ke aa. What a preconceived notions, what education, nothing is relevant when we enter this realm of faith. Even faith, he said, very choti word hogi, itna faith ki hongi, surrender kar do, surrender karoge, fir dekhna nazara. So I was angry and I didn't know what he was saying. It was foreign to my mind. A Sangha nudged me, Guru ka hukam nahi talte, pura langar karo. I ate. As I bowed, I said in my head, maine yahan dobara nahi aaya, I'm never coming back again. And Guruji responded instantly, kal aa jaye Aishka, kalyan karna. And then obviously I did not understand or grasp the meaning of that or the depth of that. And then again I said, I'm going to go straight to hospital from here. And this is it, not coming back. He goes from hospital, jandi londi kal aa jaye, kal yahan kitta aish kar. So as I maneuvered the car to the regular hospital that I used to go to, I realized I'm breathing like never before. But of course, my logical mind, my rational mind did intervene, and I said, this is a coincidence. But many seasons came and went, my customer never came back. So that is the power of the Langar Prasad that we are served. And I know in today's world, everyone's on some keto diet or some intermittent diet. But Guruji himself said, of course, we have to be practical like he is. Serve that much, which is manageable, and then you can get seconds. If you look at your Langar Prasad, you have to rejoice it and not resent it. Because if it is overloaded, then you will resent it. So be practical the way Guruji is practical. So this is one thing I learned during the pandemic in Dubai, when I was, that's another satsang for another time maybe. But literally I had no plans to go live in Dubai during the pandemic, but I was there for 2 years. And Dubai was the only country in the world which didn't have lockdown. It was there for 15 days or so, but the rest, satsangs were flowing like the river. I had 3-4 satsangs in a day. But the portion of the langar kept increasing. So finally there came a point when Sangha started negotiating, the other level with the level. You know, and Guruji himself used to say, मैं तो bless करना है, तो लेना नहीं आता, तो अपनी blessing अद्धी कर दो. But if we can serve with a manageable proportion, then it becomes, you know, our prasad, and we value it and we hold it dear, and then we can always have more. So when I came to Guruji, I had 4 rings here, 4 rings there. And I was sitting one day and he goes, "Hey, Kia, मैं कहा गुरुजी ये पीस के लिए, ये मेरे मैरिज के लिए, ये मेरी हेल्थ के लिए, तो किस तरह जा रहे हैं?" मैं कहा गुरुजी सब कुछ कोलैप्स हो रहा है. कहते भी ऐसा की फायदा? यू तो ਤੁਹਾਡੇ दूर करन आया है. मैं ਤੁਹਾਡੇ वहम और अहम दोनों दूर करूंगा. इस तरह कर, ऐ सारे उन्हें उतार दे और किसी संगत को बोला है इसको ले जाओ या यमुना और वहां ये बहा देना रात को 12 बजे. So once I let go, I felt liberated because I was not bonding, you know, I was not bound by anything. And that is ultimately what Guruji has come to teach us. Do not be bound by your superstitions, your rituals, your vehem, your ahem. Ahem ki baat, aaj mein shabad mein, as I walked in, you know, it was saying that, you know, the Raja is asking Guru, कि मैं क्या दे सकता हूँ, मेरे पास घोड़े भी है, मेरे पास मकान भी है. He said, तू मैंने अपनी मैं दे दे. And असली चीज मांगना है, नाम मांगना है. Guruji used to say, नाम मांग लिया, वो नाम हमारे दिल में बस गया. तो Guruji हर जगह is omnipresent. So it is such a practical teaching where there's no rituals and there's no vehem. And all he said, आया करो, आओ हाजिरी लगाओ regularity के साथ, commitment के साथ, and with consistency. It's not a one-stop shop. Like Guruji said, लोग ही समझते हैं कि मैं दुकान खुली हुई है. आ जाते हैं शॉपिंग लिस्ट लेके, मैंने नवा मकान दे दो, प्रमोशन दे दो, नवी बोटी दे दो, नवा हस्बैंड दे दो, मांगते ही रहते हैं. कहते मन्नो मंगो नहीं. वो भी क्यों कहते थे मन्नो मंगो नहीं? क्योंकि हम अपनी मांग के अपनी मांग छोटी करते. In his humor, he said, हो सकता है तुम्हें मर्सिडीज देनी हो और तुसी मरूती मंग लाते हो. दे भरोसा रखो ना, पूरा भरोसा रखो कि जो हो रहा है उनकी मर्जी से हो रहा है, उनका उत्तर नहीं. और जो होगा आगे अच्छा होगा, क्योंकि गुरुजी आगे भी है, फ्यूचर में भी वही खड़े हैं. So therefore, don't worry. Turn your worrying to worship. He converts, and he enables us to convert with the wisdom that he gives us. Turn your fear into faith, worrying to worship, and your hatred into love. So many months, I would say, or not many months, but I was sitting. And again, it's his timing. If you believe in your guru, you believe in trust in his timing. So even though I was suffering immensely still, it took many months before Guruji closed me. And he said, Anita, tu Shraddha mein pass ho gaya. With an English education, I had no idea who Shraddha was. But I said, मैं pass हो गई. So I said, Guruji, thank you. He said, कभी समझी तक है नहीं, ठीक है. तो मैंने कहा, Guruji, मैं pass हो गई, मैं इतना ही बहुत है. कहते तेरे अंदर श्रद्धा बहुत है. तेरे पिछले जन्म के संस्कार के कारण तू पहले पहुंच गया. Because of course, when I came in 98, 98, my family naturally and very, kind of, they were very concerned. कि ये किसी गुरु के पास जाती है शाम को, रात को 12 बजे 1 बजे आती है, तो इस चक्रों में पड़ गई है. So they were concerned, and it was justified. So Guruji, and I used to be very upset कि Guruji मैं अकेली आती हूँ, and nobody in my family really embraced him. And they said कोई बात नहीं, एक दिन आएगा सब आएंगे. And I said, you don't know my family, Guruji. And he said, तेरे friends, family सब आएंगे, लाइन ही लग जाने ने बड़े मंदिर, तब समझ आएगी कि रब आया. Anyway, going back, he said तू श्रद्धा में पास होगी, तुझे नींबू की तरह निचोड़ है, जा तेरा skin cancer ठीक करता. Now from head to toe, I was covered in a ghastly rash. My face was deformed. I couldn't smile. It was so sticky. There was pus all over. It was ghastly, unsightly. And I would avoid my own reflection. So Guruji said, "Hun bathroom mein batti na band ditta kar bathroom jaenge. Aine ko na darya kar." So when he said something so personal, I gazed at him completely astounded, and he looks back at me and he says, हैरान क्यों हो रही है? सस्ते बिच रब मिल गया ना, तो ना बैठ भी जान दे, गल्ला भी कर ला, तो तो पता ही नहीं मैं कौन हूँ, खा भी लेंगे, थोड़े नाम, सो तो पता ही नहीं मैं कौन हूँ, तो बड़े मंदिर के बाहर लाइनें लग जाने यानी समझ आएगा कि रब आया सी, तो रब की कदर नहीं है. सो असली चीज मंगलो में बैठ के दे मस्ते, आली भी बैठ के दे मस्ते, तो मैं लेना नहीं आऊँगा. So within weeks my skin cleared, and I was absolutely normal. And then he said, "वापस जा हूँ माँ नु मिलके उन्हें हैरान हो जाना." And when I went back, mom was very slim, but when I went back, she had gained weight because she had gone through a lot of depression in her life. So I didn't know why he sent me. I resisted for a while. I said, "Guruji, मेरे बच्चों का क्या होगा?" He said, "कुछ नहीं, तू जा माँ नु मिलके." So how he in a family also, one person connects, then there's a सारी family में उतार. So never worry कि मैं आती हूँ, मेरा husband नहीं आते, मेरे बच्चे नहीं आते, because कहते थे एक बंदा भी connect हो जाता है, तो पूरी family bless हो जाती. So by sending me back, who knows what he was doing for my mother. And then when I came back, he said, माँ ने weight gain दिखाया ना, मैं कहा हाँ जी गुरुजी. He said हाँ मैं उन्हें help देती हूँ. So we are all connected. We are all interrelated and all interconnected. Through us, our children are getting blessed. So there is no need to be concerned if we come alone. So, but there are many misses and slip-ups in faith also. So there's one thing I was asking Guruji from 98, and it's very personal, so I won't share the details, but I'll just say what this illustrates is that sometimes we want something in our heart, and Guruji knows our heart, but it doesn't unfold in our lives. It doesn't transpire. So we think, Guruji, aap ho ya nahi ho? Guruji, aap sun rahe ho ya nahi sun rahe ho? So in 98, I verbally asked him something. He said, Aya kar. And this is for all of us. Aya kar, aate, aisa samajh aandi hai. Aisa mere said, your own truth and your own destiny. We all know. Our soul knows. And he said, Andi reh kar bas. 98 se ho gaya 2006. Then I became impatient. I said, mujhe Guruji ki zarurat nahi hai. So I became arrogant, and I did not take Guruji's blessings, and I ran back to England with my daughters. वहाँ phone आता है, वही संगत का जिसने मुझे introduce किया था, and she said Guruji wants to speak to you. I said हाँ जी गुरुजी, मैं भी बहुत डर के कि गुरुजी मुझे फिर कमजोर कर दिया. तो उसे हाँ जी गुरुजी, वापस आ इंडिया, मेरा बर्थडे है, ये इंग्लैंड बैठी हुई है. So I said okay गुरुजी, हमको तुम बता नहीं सकते, उन्होंने बोल दिया. So I came back to India, and when I came back to India with my girls, again I was sitting in a restaurant. What are the chances? And I'm discussing this with my brother that I don't want to go to Guruji's his birthday tomorrow, but I don't want to go. He'll weaken me. He's not granting me what I want. And next door table, there's a table full of sangat. So the sangat comes to me and says, "Hey, here's a phone. Guruji wants to speak to you." I said, how does he know I'm here? I mean, wherever I go, how does he know? So then I got the phone, and I very again reluctantly, and Guruji says, "Aage India?" Hanji Guruji, "Aaja mere birthday kar." So I said, okay. I said, "Phir bolenge mujhe," because I had as I said, there were many misses and slip-ups. I had done what he didn't want me to do. And then he said, Subhi ka bula, sham ko lauta hai, to usko bula nahi kehte. So I said, he's going to repeat the same dialogue, but fine. So as I was entering, he said, cut that and bless. I said, what does that even mean? Kalyan and blessing is a very broad term. And then he said, whatever he had to say, he said, Guru aata timing hota. Har cheez the timing hota. When you asked me for what you asked for, you didn't have a leg to stand on to any bimar se. Rab pehle tonu life denge. Fir health denge. Fir baki cheezaं aandiyan. Te tonu samajh nahi aandi. Te is karke tusi restless ho jate ho, impatient ho jate ho. Te rab nu apna kaam karan do, tusi apna kaam karo. Tusi simran, satsang, seva karte jaओ. This is a simplified way of connecting to divinity, and he has simplified religion. If anything, he's actually broken the walls of religion, because religion creates a lot of, we know religion and politics go hand in hand. So one day he was sitting, and if I may take the name, I mean, no, I won't. So anyway, there was this prominent personality sitting there, and Guruji says, everybody spiritual Korean. So I said, Guruji, is spiritual then? When he come here, onnu keh rahe, he's spiritual then. He said, okay. So I said, okay, Guruji, तो फिर ये अच्छा या बुरा है? I know because I have never believed in religion as such. I have always believed in good deeds as much as we can, and just to be a simple and good human being. So I said, Guruji, अच्छा या बुरा? तो मैं तो पाठ भी नहीं करती हूँ. मेरे इन लोगों से 5 बार जुड़ जाते हैं. कहते हैं अच्छा उससे बात ही कर देने. मैं कहती गुरुजी खूब लड़ते हैं. ठीक है होगा. तो चंगा इंसान बनो. So your spirituality बड़ी चंगी चीज होती है. Your value system is your spiritual. Your core values is your spiritual. Your humility, compassion, humanity is your religion. So that, therefore, it's work in progress, of course, with all of us, but we must do the inner work. And that's something I've learned with Guruji, that God help those who help themselves. One lady came to Guruji and she says, मैं तो अपना दरवाजा भी नहीं लॉक करती, गुरुजी है ना. तो गुरुजी कहते हैं तुम ना बच्चे जूती उतार के आओ, बात कॉमन सेंस नहीं उतार के आओ. So common sense यूज करनी भगवान ने हमें फ्री विल दिया, हमें इंटेलेक्ट दिया. तो हम एक कदम लेंगे तभी 1000 कदम गुरुजी हमारे करते हैं. वो मेहनत मेरी रहमत देगी. So the mehnat is also another mehnat which I learned. I was a very faithful person, and I obviously from childhood, my memories of being in hospital was my mom and dad, and were leaving me there. So how a child interprets their childhood experiences, only the child knows. And it's not a reality, it's a perception, as we know. So my perception was my parents were abandoning me when they left me in hospital. So I have that memory, mom and dad are going and I'm crying that again you're leaving me in the hospital. You don't love me. So I felt that sense of rejection. Then I went to school where I felt rejected. Then I came to India where I felt rejected. And then I got married where I felt rejected. So finally there was acceptance here. But there were fears. So one day, when I became single again, my daughters were now, of course, very grown up and very much connected to Guruji, challenged me. They said, Mom, we want you to go travel alone and be alone for 10 days. That will enable you to overcome your fears. I very smartly by that time said, okay, can I choose my destination? So they said, okay, choose. I said Barcelona and Madrid. I knew the Sangat in Barcelona. So not completely alone. So, I did face up to the challenge. And they said, okay, for 10 days you're going alone and you will grow from this experience. Go and travel alone, stay alone. So in Madrid, I was literally alone. And it was a strange thing. I've never heard Guruji's voice. I've never had his dream. I never get his fragrance, but I know he is rooted in the very depth of my life. And that is enough. You know he's walking with you, he's handholding you, because things change in your life, right? Without your effort also sometimes. Your perception is changing, your opinions are changing. You're just becoming better from being bitter. So I was walking down in Madrid the last day of me being alone with him. I said, Guruji, Sangat hai yahan pe Madrid mein? But it was too late to ask that question because the following morning I had Barcelona flight. And the voice suddenly came out here. Anyway, I said, okay, this is just my head speaking now, and this was the thinking. I landed in Barcelona, the Sangat come to the airport, and the first question I asked is, Sangat hai? Is it Madrid? He said, हाँ है. I said, okay, it's not on the global whatever, but I missed the bus, which is fine. But in Barcelona, I was half alone, half alone. So I met with the challenge, but the point is here, we have to surrender that too. Whether it's fear, whether it's anger, whatever inherent trait we have, I learned to surrender that to it. I went to Paramandir, I recall, and when my daughters challenged me, I said, Guruji, let me live up to the challenge, but please, I surrender my fear to you. Turn that fear into faith, and turn that, whatever I'm feeling, lack of confidence, into complete confidence. He converts, and he listens, and that's the beauty of Guruji. So I could really go on because there's volumes of satsangs. This is before the Master Samadhi. After Master Samadhi, and this is a lesson for all of us, I think. And like Guruji said, कि मैं, अपना गुरु परिवार इकट्ठा कर रहा हूँ, गुरु परिवार इकट्ठे जाते हैं. So this is truly your family. We said, तुम्हारा गुरु परिवार अपने परिवार से ज़्यादा प्यार करेगा. So sorry, I missed something. A very difficult point. When he said कि तू बड़ा भटक के आई है बेटे, तू बाथरूम की बत्ती ना बंद कर, बाथरूम जानते पहले. He said तू पिछले साल astrologer को गई थी. That's a very important point. So I said, Hanji Guruji, thank you, but I didn't say so confidently. I just said Hanji Guruji. Because by this time I understood that when you come here, you don't need to go to the visit. Which he said, इधर आ जा तू अपनी सब कुछ है. Life coach भी नहीं है आपका, healer भी नहीं है. Guruji, he सब कुछ है. Guruji is your understanding of God. So I said, Hanji Guruji. He said, उन्हें की क्या सी? I said, Guruji, हाँ उन्हें 10 लाख की क्या सी? उन्हें क्या सी? तेरी कोई life नहीं December 97 के बाद. उन्हें सही किया. उन 10 कौन बढ़ता तेरा गुरु या तेरा एस्ट्रोलॉजर. So जब आप आते हो इधर उधर जाने की जरूरत नहीं. पहले मेरे उनके सारी गुरुजी ने फिर ये भी बंद हो गया. Of course, we still cheat from time to time when the leader really doesn't know, but he knows. So then fast forward. What was I saying? After Master Samadhi, Guruji had said 1 week before he left his body, 1 week before, I remember it was Thursday evening, and he said, Teri seva tu satsang kitna kar. Now, when he cured me of my skin cancer, I was very shy of public speaking. So when he cured me, he said, Khade hoke suna sabnu, कि मैं तेरा किस तरह skin cancer ठीक किया. I was perspiring away, knee-jerk experience, nerve-wracking. And I stood up and I said, Guruji ने ठीक कर दिया, मैं बैठ गई. Guruji कहते कब नहीं, तेरे को सत्संग भी नहीं सुनाना आंदा. I said नहीं आंदा Guruji, अब तो कभी ना कहना please खड़े हो बस. So 1 week before he left his body, he said, तेरी सेवा तू सत्संग की कर, तू जगह जगह जाएंगी तो हैरान हो जाएंगी कि जगह जगह मेरी जोत जलनी है. Across every continent, country, city in the world is going to have Guruji satsang. And I said, Guruji, ये कैसे होगा? Inconceivable to my mind. And मैं सत्संग नहीं करूँगी गुरुजी. मुझे बोलना नहीं आता, आपने तो बोलना है. इसे तू खड़ी होंगी, मैं बोलूँगी. So Guruji takes over every सेवा. And वो सेवा भी कहते थे कि वो हमारे लिए होती है, हमारे कल्याण के लिए. कहते सुनान वाला दोनों तरफ मेरी लहरें चल गई ने. क्यों नहीं पता मैं किस ब्लेस करूँ. तो सुनो क्या नहीं. उसमें आपको you probably find your story in my story. You probably can resonate with whatever I'm saying. So find your glimpse of hope or promise. And when I went back to England to take care of my mother, I came to India just to visit in 2010, 2011. And I was in Baramandir and a Sangat said to me, Anita, after routine ham check kara. And again, she kept insisting, I resisted, like I do. I said, no, there's no need, I'm fine. He said, no, you're not well, you can show me. that you're not born. So she took me to the hospital. Who does that? She reached my home at 6 a.m. and she goes, I have to take you on an empty stomach. So she took me to BLK, sat with me for 5 hours. Again, who does that? Decided doing very well. And she says to the doctor, "Iska mammogram ठीक करना, ठीक से करना." It so happened I had breast cancer and I have 2 tumors. Now, how Guruji protects? Karam kaatne humne, like he said. Like one day I asked him, I said, Guruji, life ka meaning kya hai? Seems quite useless actually. We born, we die, what's the point? And he said, life ka meaning bata de Guruji. He said, life has a very simple answer to a very complex question. He said, lifetime has ऐसे ऐसे करती हूँ मैं बैठा सतवान से और किसी का चंगा नहीं कर सकते तो मारा भी ना करो किसी का चंगा बोल नहीं सकते मारा भी ना करो चुप सो और मन साफ रखो मन वो चंगा दिन नरके का पानी नहीं करो. So again, it's work in progress where we try and improve ourselves in our every thought, word, and action. We are correcting karmas. In our thought, हम निंदा कर देते हैं किसी. Even in our thought, just sitting there. कब सत्संग खत्म होगा तो नीता आंटी बस बंद करेगी लंगर खाना में. Then our thought, word, and action. So then I was in the hospital and the surgeon was South Indian Punjabi. And he came out and he says, I don't know, I am confused. You had a 10 millimeter tumor, but I should have opened it 15. But there was a voice in the theater saying, and you hold out it. Hold out the cancer, so he said, then I opened in 13. How do I care? But that's when I found your other tumor, which was malignant and aggressive. And within months, you would have died. You wouldn't have even come back for a routine now. So somebody is protecting you. And of course, I know that somebody is Guruji. So he said, 90% body karam mein apne te karna. So like a prick of a needle, as opposed to a blade of a sword, you have to go through your karmic destiny. And he enables us to do that by giving us a positive attitude and with courage and confidence. Life does not suddenly become from black to white. It doesn't suddenly become a bed of roses. The roses also have thorns. And we have to be pricked by those thorns to grow. But he's handled these. It's never smooth sailing. There will be storms, but he's promised us a shelter. And that is huge. When we are protected, and even when we face a closed door, take it as thank you, Guruji, because that closed door is protection, not rejection. As we have learned time and again through people's experiences, even the Air India flight, when people missed the flight, that was protection and not rejection of, oh, I did not get on that. Because we get impatient when things don't happen, and when we feel things are falling apart, in his work is actually falling into place. So he moves. Therefore the strength, therefore the calmness, therefore the acceptance, and therefore the patience. And this is shukr kar de, jab koi shukr nahi karta, aande ne faryad kar dena. Shukr karo, zikr karo. Zikr bhi yehi hai ki chalte firde kande paas karo. शुक्र करते जाओ चलते फिरते रब को याद करो प्यार करो रब में वीक और लविंग नॉट फॉरगिविंग एंड जिक्र करो और फिक्र ना करो. फिक्र ना कुछ नहीं होता अपने आप को बीमार करके. So the third time, the final countdown. The third time when I had the tumor, I just went for routine health check in Manchester, and mom was also on a deathbed. And I was sitting in a satsang. इसलिए कहते हैं satsang is our classroom. Now Guruji used to say, I'm in a classroom में, and Sangat is on different classes, different levels of learning. He knows who's in what classroom. कोई nursery में है तो कोई graduate है तो कोई, and he knows. Leave it to him. आप अपना काम करो, उनको अपना करना. मैंने मेरी रहना. और आके absorb करना, जगत में गानी. and langar prasad वैसे खाना है कि मेरी दवाई है. So what? We don't know नानक को कैसे 70 साल मेरे जी used to say कोई ना कोई कष्ट आए इंसान में, कोई financial कष्ट, कोई physical कष्ट, कोई emotional. Now, when I was sitting in the satsang, the doctor said to me, in a sangat, he was the doctor, and he says, I believe you've invited the cancer back into the body. I said, excuse me. He said, what is it that you're holding on to and you're not letting go? So, lesson of forgiveness, letting go of resentment, is all for us. When we forgive the other, we are actually traveling light. It's for us, not the other us. So, it's important to forgive those who have hurt us. Travel light before we actually merge into it. So it's very important to let go of guilt, resentment, anger, anything from being bitter to better. So this should be our aspiration. Like Guruji said, for the ocean of blessings that I give you, what can you give me in return? Just a drop of your goodness. Be a good human being, a decent human. And he knows our heart. He can see through our soul. And that is all we need to do. Just keep coming. And changes are here. We get these life-altering, life-transforming experiences. So, Rabbi to 7, enjoy the journey with Guruji, like the Paul said so beautifully. And enjoy this grace. And thank you for having me here. Again, today, can I share that I think it's been quite a pilgrimage, I would say, because, Guruji's been making me share satsangs in different cities last 5, 6, 7 days. And today's not the only day I was not well. I was not well when we went to, where did we go yesterday? Whenever, another satsang in probably another city, which Guruji's making me happy. And I really feel he takes over because when I woke up in the morning, I said to Mukta, I'm going to do satsang today. I've been so unwell. And then I said, no, Guruji will take over. And he really takes it. Humne sirf intent because intention follows your thought and action follows your thought. So therefore, intention, how Guruji takes it. In his humor, if I can say a few light words again, because Guruji has taught us how to live, love, and really love. Because he had a great sense of humor, and he still does. So, एक lady आई मत्था टेकी, कहते 2 मिनट की humility दिखा रही, उन्हें तो सब में लड़के आई है. फिर एक और lady आई 9 बजे जब लंगर लगता था, कहते कार्ड चूल्हा नहीं चलाना से ना आगे खाना खा. So he knows our intention. So keep your heart pure. Because राम को खिलौना जाना वाली बात मत करना. लेकिन जब मैं स्मार्ट वाले सकते हैं गुरुजी को क्या देखते हैं. जब हम अच्छा करते हैं हम कहते गुरुजी देख रहे हैं. जब बुरा करते हैं हम कहते गुरुजी बिजी होंगे लेकिन डेटाबेस बढ़ गई है. गुरुजी कहाँ तो मिस करना मेरी छोटी सी मिस हाथ और whatever मिस slip up. पर नहीं गुरुजी ने एक अपनी बोन सबके बॉडी में रख दी है. तो वो ब्लैक बॉक्स हमारे अंदर ही है. तो वो सब रिकॉर्डिंग हो रही है. तो गुरुजी कहते हैं मन साफ रखो, रिएक्शन साफ रखो. Or be kind to every kind, be compassionate, be loving, and enjoy the journey of life. RS week ka sunana cha rahi hu. I'm a calligrapher, so I was sitting one day with Guruji, and there was a stack of tin mines for a wedding. So he said, "Atte na pen leke aao, लिख Mrs. and Mr." I said, "हाँ जी गुरुजी, मैंने लिखना कर दिया अपनी calligraphy में." कहते बड़ी सोनी हैंड राइटिंग है. चल मैं तेरी पूरी इंडिया सोनी हैंड राइटिंग करती. I was very happy as a fellow. Thank you Guruji because I was a calligraphy teacher. I am a calligraphy teacher. So he said, हिंदी की लिखा हुआ है कार्ड पे. मैं कहा गुरुजी RSV की. कहते की मतलब होता है. मैं कहा गुरुजी रिपोर्टे सी बुक ले. अपनी फ्रेंच मारनी शुरू कर दी मैंने. कहते कभी तैने कुछ नहीं पता. रोंगे सारे ब्याह तो पिछो. So how कहते तेरे पता वाइट क्यों होती है. मैं नहीं गुरुजी कहते वरी इनवाइटेड फॉरएवर. इन्हें भी नहीं पता तेरे. मैंने कहा नहीं गुरुजी फैन नहीं है पर हस्बैंड का भी तो होना चाहिए ना. कहते है ना पोस्ट एंड सर्वे बर्डन एंड नो डाइवर्जन. कोई आता था कहती कितना आई है Noida, अच्छा no idea, चल बैठ जा। फिर कोई कहता था कहाँ से आई है? कभी ग्रेडिंग क्लास शुरू की। अच्छा ग्रेडिंग क्लास से चलो बैठ जाते। So Guruji has really lightened the load of life and given us life and taught us how to live life to the fullest and to be the best version of ourselves. I would say most important. Work on yourself. As I said, work in progress, but he enables us to be the best version of ourselves. So I'm fine with it. Thank you. Sorry, I'm taking so much time.